back for our 10 best bets for college football week number 1. Doing this on Friday because there were no good bets, I thought, last night. At least bets that I wanted to put in this video. Now, we had a positive day yesterday. We went 3-2 on the games that we predicted yesterday for college football. A lot of low-scoring affairs, at least in the games that we had. You know, I know we didn't come on the right side of Wyoming, Akron, but that was a 10-0 game. Shout out to Gavin Wimsatt. Well, he didn't play all that well. But Jacksonville State for keeping it close against UCF. Also, Miami of Ohio. Hey, we had plus 18 on Miami of Ohio. They lose the game by 17 to Wisconsin. So some stuff that went the right way for us. Billy Edwards hopefully gets well soon. Danny O'Neal had to take over at quarterback. Regardless, though, not a bad night for us yesterday. And I'm going to detail you now our 10 best bets for week 1 for college football. If you want to see every single prediction I made for this week 1 college football slate, that's going to be linked in the description down below. Again, I went over every single game, FBS versus FBS, and I'm going to continue, to do that for the rest of the college football season. So make sure to leave a like down for more. Make sure to subscribe. Let's do it. First of 10 best bets here on the channel. Also, folks on the channel, we've got our daily MLB best bets. Those are linked in the description down below as well. Again, those are daily on the channel. We're doing that all the way through the World Series. Okay. So we're going to have best bets for Friday. We're going to have best bets for Saturday. We're going to have best bets for Sunday and a best bet for Monday's game as well. Let's kick things off with today, Friday. We've got 2 best bets for today, the first of which comes with a money line. So I'm going to mix it up with spreads, money lines, player props. We will have over-unders in the future, not today. The first best bet, though, that I have for the week 1 slate, we're going Baylor money line plus 105 at home. I'm going with the Baylor Bears to get things done here against the Auburn Tigers. Now, Auburn's doing their thing, at least. Okay, it was stated that Auburn was going to start, or not start, but they were going to play 3 quarterbacks this week. I think that's, I don't want to call it an internet hoax, but they're really not going to be starting all 3. They're not going to be playing all 3 quarterbacks. It's Jackson Arnold's team. And that doesn't surprise me, right? Auburn has Jackson Arnold. They have Ashton Daniels from Stanford, and they have Deuce Knight as well. I believe it's going to be a lot of Jackson Arnold. And Deuce Knight's going to be more their mobile guy who can come in and, again, dual threat. And that's when I proposed, earlier in the week, like I just said, what is Ashton Daniels' role in this team? Because Deuce Knight's your runner. Jackson Arnold's, again, your quarterback and your starter. What does Ashton Daniels do for this team? And on top of that, it was said that potentially Auburn was going to have 3 different play callers for the 3 different quarterbacks. I don't think, again, calling it an internet hoax, I don't think is accurate, but I don't think it's entirely true. I think Jackson Arnold's going to get 85% of the snaps. Again, it was going around earlier in the week that Darnold would go first, Arnold would go first down, Daniels would get second down, and maybe Deuce Knight would get third down, or Deuce Knight would get second, Daniels would get third. I'm pretty sure it's just going to be all Jackson Arnold. That's fine, okay? Regardless, I'm still taking the Baylor Bears to win this football game, okay? For a couple reasons. First of which, Baylor's at home. That's a big deal in college football. It just is. Home field advantage is so real. It will make mediocre teams look excellent when they are at home. Last season, guys, Baylor lost 1 home game all year long, and that was to Brigham Young, who was a game away from the postseason. They lost a 6-point game at home, a game in which Sawyer Robertson threw for 324 yards. They lost to Brigham Young on their own home field. Their other losses came at Iowa State, came at Colorado in overtime, obviously the Travis Hunter game. Well, Shedeur had a great game too, and at Utah. This team last year did not lose at home, except, again, to one of the best teams in the country. Auburn last year, again, different team, right? SEC transfer portals are insane. Obviously, Peyton Thorne was the starting quarterback last season. Auburn finished 5-7. You now get the former Oklahoma Sooner in Jackson Arnold. I am not sold. I'm not sold in this Auburn team. Obviously, the Southeastern Conference last year as a whole had a down year. I don't think the SEC as a whole is going to have that bad of a year this year. But in this particular spot, I do like Baylor a lot more. I believe, again, you return your starting quarterback last season to Sawyer Robertson. If you remembered right, Daquan Finn was the starter. Then Sawyer Robertson took over. And we had Daquan Finn in the Miami of Ohio Redhawks yesterday. And they didn't win the game. They didn't score a point. It was good enough to get us to plus 18, though. Plus 17.5. That's all that matters, right? That's all that matters. Baylor, obviously, this is the first of 2 really tough games, right? They have Auburn here in week 1, and then they go to Southern Methodist next week. SMU, a top 20 team in the country, a playoff team in 2024. Again, it really just signifies the importance, though, of this week 1 game for Baylor. You have to go out here and beat Auburn. If you lose next week, okay, that sucks, but their or at least just the start to their schedule is brutal. Auburn, SMU, Samford, whatever. And then ASU, who is probably the best team in the Big 12 other than potentially the Utah Utes. More on them later. So I think it's a really important game for Baylor, and I believe they're going to come through tonight. Again, even though, again, it seems like, yes, Jackson Arnold's going to be getting 85% of the snaps tonight at quarterback. I don't like it. The uncertainty around that quarterback situation just really concerns me. And I believe Baylor, again, is going to be the better team in this spot. Playing at home and playing at Waco, I believe is going to make a big difference. And I'm going to go with the Baylor Bears to win this game at home against the Auburn Tigers. They are slight underdogs in Waco. It is plus 105 for the Baylor Bears. They were the better team last season, and I believe Auburn's going to be a little disappointing yet again this year. I like Baylor to win this football game at plus 105 at home again in Waco, Texas. Let's go on to our second best bet of the video. Again, these are my best plays of the week. Obviously, again, we have so many games. I made a 2.5 hour longer actually than a 2.5 hour video earlier in the week about every single game. Now I just get to give in-depth breakdowns, even more so for the games I like the most. Our second best bet, Georgia Tech minus 3.5. So Georgia Tech is on the road. They are at Folsom Field. They're at Colorado to take on the Colorado Buffaloes. So earlier in the week, we were a little unsure. Again, I kind of assumed it was going to be Salter as a starting quarterback, but we didn't know, right? We didn't know if it was going to be Ken Salter or it was going to be Julian Lewis, the starting quarterback of Colorado, just like how we didn't know if it was going to be Bryce Underwood or Mikey Keene for Michigan. Well, Michigan goes to the true freshman in Bryce Underwood. Colorado sits the true freshman for the fifth-year senior in Caden Salter. Makes a lot of sense, just like how Michigan should have done. But it's okay. Mikey Keene will get a shot eventually. Maybe. I don't know. I don't like this game for Colorado. I didn't like it as soon as the schedule came out. Everything that... This is a good comp, and I'll make this right now. Remember last year when Colorado opened against North Dakota State? And, Colorado did not have a great 2023. They finished, 4-8, 5-7 after their electric start beating Texas Christian in week 1, right? Going into the year last year, there was a lot of talk about, Colorado gets North Dakota State to start the season. That's a brutal matchup. Now, I never had thoughts that they were going to lose that game. I thought the spread was going to be tough for them. But there were legitimate people saying, the Bison might go in there and shock them, right? Obviously, one of the premier FCS programs in the country, the North Dakota State Bison. Tonight, between Colorado and Georgia Tech, is everything that we thought, or people thought, North Dakota State and Colorado was going to be last year. Colorado is worse. You take away two of the best players in college football last season in Shedeur Sanders and Travis Hunter. The team is simply put, not as good as they were last season. You take away the Heisman, and you take away a quarterback that can straight up just win you games at the collegiate level and in the NFL as well, but whatever, he'll get a shot eventually, right? Shedeur will get a shot, I hope. I just don't like it for Colorado. I don't, especially because a Georgia Tech team that is a difficult bunch to beat. They are. Especially that Haynes King is back at quarterback. He's such a difficult guy to contain. When Haynes King is at his best, ask Georgia, ask FSU. The mobile threat of Haynes King is one of the best in college football, if not in the ACC, definitely, right? Now, you lose one of the best receivers in Eric Singleton to Auburn. That sucks. But again, everything that Georgia Tech does is centered around Haynes King, obviously, right? And even their, I believe he's a sophomore quarterback now, Philo too. I mean, it is all about that, dual threat ability. What Haynes King does changes football games. And I'm not too concerned they lose their lead receiver. Again, that's going to sort itself out for Georgia Tech because of the plays that Haynes King is going to make, right? Georgia Tech is not reliant on their receivers because Haynes King is going to create for his own offense, right? His ability to scramble with his legs, his ability to get outside the pocket is going to change football games. And I'm a big believer in Haynes King. Colorado, again, they're worse. They're not as good as they were last season. And sure, the game's at Folsom Field. That's great. They are obviously underdogs in the opener, and I believe Colorado is not going to be able to cover 3.5. I'm seeing this some at 4.5. No, buy a point if you have to. Go to 3.5. Sure, again, Georgia Tech needs to win by more than a field goal. I'm telling you, the odds of winning by 5 points are not that high, right? Like just exactly 5 points. I'm going to take a win by 4 and lose, some potential earnings rather than have to sweat it out and need Georgia Tech to essentially win by a touchdown, right? 4 is very doable, right? mean, you know it, I know it, right? Colorado can kick a field goal, go up by 3. Georgia Tech can score a touchdown. They're up by 4 points. I'd much rather that than needing, okay, well, if we have 5.5, then we need Georgia Tech to kick a field goal on top of that and go up by 7, right? Or if we have 4.5, that's the case. So play the 3.5. Trust me, it's going to be a lot easier. I don't love what Colorado's got. I don't know how to approach Salter. I really don't, because Ken Salter's a guy that had a really good 2023 at Liberty. He was the next up. He wasn't exactly next up after. Was he next up after Malik Willis? He was the next great Liberty quarterback, right? 2024 is not good for Ken Salter. I watched him and Liberty go into Kennesaw State last year and lose. And if you know college football, Kennesaw State, excellent FCS program, has not been that great so far in the CUSA and in the FBS. I think Salter's going to be extremely underwhelming. I think, again, you go from elite quarterback play in Shedeur Sanders to Ken Salter. And also, Coach Prime has never coached without Shedeur Sanders leading the charge, at least on the roster, right? They had to start games with Ryan Staub 2 years ago, when Shedeur got hurt. There's no Shedeur, there's no Shiloh, and there's no Travis Hunter. There was not a bigger supporter last year of Colorado football than myself. Every single week, I said it in the predictions. It was weird because I had Colorado as just another game. Last year, we made a point out of making them a game of the week every single week. No matter who they were playing, Colorado was one of the games of the week. Just the hype's gone. That's why Coach Prime should have gone to the league. I don't know if the opportunity was there, but I don't love it. I don't love the spot tonight for Colorado. Georgia Tech is still extremely good, and they get their fifth-year senior back at quarterback in Haynes King. To me, this screams Georgia Tech victory. I'm going with the Yellow Jackets of Georgia Tech to win tonight and cover 3.5 points at -125. Give me the ACC's own. We go on now to our third best bet of the video. Let's go to Saturday, and this might be a controversial pick. I know it is. Give me the Texas Longhorns to beat Ohio State. I was only $100 to get into this game. I'm looking on ESPN, $100 to get into Texas, Ohio State, in Columbus at the Shoe. Are we serious? I mean, I have to pay $150 just to watch in the nosebleeds for Jaguars Niners week 1 out here. Are we serious? Week 2, whatever. Anyways, I'm taking the Texas Longhorns to beat Ohio State. The pick obviously has not changed from earlier in the week, and this is why. I'm still not sold on Julian Sayin. It's the main reason. I understand Ohio State's a great team. I understand Texas is a great team. Both these teams are excellent. These are two of the best teams in college football. I'm pretty sure we're going to see both of them in the playoffs, but I don't know. Guys, Ohio State has 4 difficult games this season, right? Luckily for them, they don't have to run into the Indiana Hoosiers in Bloomington, right? But they have Texas, they have Illinois in Urbana-Champaign, they got Penn State at home, and they've got Michigan on the road. Okay, we can kind of chalk Michigan just to be a loss. No matter how good Ohio State is, we can kind of chalk that to be a loss, especially at the Big House this season. If they lose this Texas game, there's 2 losses. And say they're probably not losing at Illinois. I don't care how hyped Illinois is going to be this year. They're not. I'm not concerned about the Fighting Illini this year. What if they lose at home to Penn State? That's 3 losses for Ohio State. No playoffs. I think they'll get in. Don't get me wrong. I think the 2 games they lose, legitimately, Texas, Michigan. First game of the year, last game of the year. That'll be enough to put them in the playoffs. I think they're going to get Penn State at the Shoe. And I definitely think they're going to go to Urbana-Champaign and beat the Fighting Illini. I think they lose tonight to Texas, though, or Saturday to Texas. I believe so. And the difference in this game, guys, I said it on Monday, and I will say it again, is quarterback play. It's the difference. Neither of these guys have that much experience. We know who's got a little bit more, though. That's Arch Manning. I've seen Arch Manning have to play, in somewhat meaningful football games. We saw him play a full SEC game against Mississippi State. And I get it. Mississippi State was one of the worst teams, if not the worst team in the Southeastern Conference last season. But we had to watch, Arch Manning had to play in an actual game. Julian Sayin has never had to play in a competitive college football game yet in his career. He showed up. He got to play in garbage time minutes against Western Michigan, and in garbage time minutes in East Lansing against Michigan State. He has not actually had to play a meaningful snap yet of college football, and immediately you are inserted into week number 1 against the Texas Longhorns, the number 1 team in the country. I think Julian Sayin's going to be all right. I just think the spot for him is horrible. I think Ohio State could have benefited, so much by getting an, I don't know, if Merrimack was going into Ohio State week number 1. Or, hell, even a Kent State, the Golden Flashes, if they got to go to the shoe in week number 1. Then that would be the perfect situation for Saiyan, and then, okay, week 2, then we take on Texas, right? I just don't like it for his first game. I hate it. I absolutely hate it. Texas is an underdog. On the road, slight underdog, it's about even, but I'm seeing some, Texas slight as the slimmest of underdogs. They're going to go into Ohio State and they're going to win. I firmly believe that. Legitimately. Both these teams are great. On paper, again, defensively speaking, both these teams are amazing, right? You saw what Texas did at the end of the last year. You obviously saw what Ohio State did to win the national championship, right? You look offensively, there's, so many weapons on both sides. I did make the comp, and I will say it again. I have a weird feeling Jeremiah Smith is going to kind of be like what Marvin Harrison was in his last season at Ohio State. We knew the talent was there. We knew he had the potential to break out. Kyle McCord wasn't really getting him the football. Now, Kyle McCord came through, obviously, when he went to Syracuse, and now he's in the practice squad for the Philadelphia Eagles. I kind of feel like that's going to happen with Julian Saiyan. I don't know. I just don't think he's going to be able to deliver because, right, Jeremiah Smith goes from playing with Will Howard, who obviously now with the Pittsburgh Steelers national championship winning quarterback, you go from Will Howard to Julian Saiyan. It's going to be night and day, guys. It's going to be. I hate to say it. It's going to be a night and day comparison, switching quarterbacks here. And I don't think Texas takes a step back with Arch Manning. I think they improve with Arch Manning. If Arch Manning got into play in the SEC championship game against Georgia, in the playoffs against Ohio State, I don't know if they beat Ohio State with Arch Manning, probably not. I know they win the SEC with Arch Manning against Georgia. Quinn Ewers held that team back. I firmly believe that. Arch Manning will elevate Texas and take them to the next level because he is that good. I'm taking the Texas Longhorns to go on the road and beat Ohio State minus 110 on the money line. Texas is the better team. They have the better quarterback. And Ohio State's last regular season game, or last game at the shoe in the regular season, they did lose to Michigan. Give me Arch Manning and the Texas Longhorns. There's a reason this guy is one of the Heisman favorites on the betting lines. We'll get to the other guy I'd really like to win the Heisman later. Arch Manning and the Texas Longhorns go to Ohio State and beat the Buckeyes minus 110. On now to our fourth best bet of the video. Let's go to Tulane minus 4.5. I believe Tulane is going to bitch Northwestern. Okay? That's how I see that game going. I don't think it's a competition. I don't care what Northwestern did in the offseason. I could not care less, okay? Tulane is the better football team regardless of who they're starting at quarterback. We said at the beginning of the week, it was a toss-up for me who was going to start quarterback for them, just because we didn't know, right? Because of the Jake Retzlaff situation, obviously, because he had premarital sex, right? At BYU. Just can't do that there, right? Because of the injury sustained to Brendan Sullivan, who was going to get the starting job. I believe it's Brendan Sullivan, right? Last I've seen, I don't know if they've officially declared a starter, but I'm pretty sure it's going to be him. I'm pretty sure. At least what Northwestern has said, I believe Northwestern's head coach has said, it's tough to prepare because you don't know who's going to be starting for Tulane. Better for us. I believe Jake Retzlaff is the better quarterback, obviously. And I believe by the end of the season, Jake Retzlaff will be starting for Tulane. We saw, quite a bit of success last year for him. Right now, guys, Tulane, with Boise losing yesterday, I know USF is going to be a big favorite to potentially make the playoffs as the Group of 5 team. I'm not entirely so. Byron Brown played a great game, don't get me wrong. Tulane might be the squad that gets in from the Group of 5. They might be, legitimately. I know they got to go to Ole Miss. I don't think Ole Miss is as good as people think they are. In terms of, I think Tulane's going to be able to really play a competitive game against them. Tulane, if they can win this game, obviously, and beat Ole Miss and potentially go undefeated in the American, okay, yeah, they're easily going to get in with wins over, SEC squads and Big Ten squads. Regardless of the starting quarterback, I believe Tulane's going to win. Games in New Orleans. It's at Tulane. Line opened at -6. It's now at -4.5. I believe it's because of the uncertainty of the starting quarterback, obviously, for Tulane. I don't care. I know what we're going to get out of Northwestern, a team, and I don't care how many moves they make in the offseason. I don't care how many guys transfer here. I don't care, Preston Stone, the former Southern Methodist quarterback, is here. I don't care. They're not scoring. It's what Northwestern is. They don't score points. Preston Stone, right, the new starting quarterback for the Northwestern Wildcats. That's great, obviously. Had to move out of SMU. Kevin Jennings is the future. Kevin Jennings is a top 10 hopeful for Heisman this year. I'd easily put Kevin Jennings in my top 10 quarterbacks this year for college football, obviously. So Preston Stone had to make this move. I think Preston Stone is a solid starting quarterback. I'm glad he gets to start somewhere, especially at a high level in the Power 5, Power 4, and at the Big Ten level for his senior season. I just worry about what's around him. Northwestern has never been the most explosive offense, and they're still not that. Again, their offseason doesn't move me. They're still Northwestern, and you're going on the road to take on Tulane, a team that's been consistently one of the best squads in the Group of 5 for years. And no matter who the starting quarterback is, again, likely, I believe Brendan Sullivan, but there is there's no chance it's the sophomore, definitely not. It's probably Brendan Sullivan, who was at Iowa and led the charge of a non-scoring Iowa offense. I completely understand. The pieces around him at Tulane are much more explosive, other than Caleb Johnson. But again, Caleb Johnson last year in Iowa's offense was, all right, let's run. Power up the middle, let Caleb Johnson run, I'm okay with Tulane here. -4.5 to me is a good line. I know I said earlier, don't play the 4.5 with Colorado and Georgia Tech. I mean, if you want to buy a point here, I'm not against it at all. I'm just saying -4.5 because I don't think the game's as close potentially as Georgia Tech and Colorado is, right? I see a chance that game goes down to the wire and, Colorado's up by 3 points and Georgia Tech, Haynes King punches in a go-ahead touchdown with 2 minutes left. Now they're up by 4 and now we cover, right? This game, I believe Tulane wins by a touchdown or double digits. That's how I see this game going. The simplest thing is I just don't think Northwestern's able to hang. I get it. Preston Stone had a great 2023 before Kevin Jennings obviously established himself as the guy at Southern Methodist. I completely get that. I know, again, how good Preston Stone can be. It's just you go to Northwestern, a team that's never had a good offense, a team that still, I don't think, has the most weapons on offense. Where do they beat Tulane? Especially, you're on the road, too. I don't like it at all for Northwestern. And yes, we are taking a team in the American Athletic Conference to beat a team out of the Big Ten. It just makes sense. The better football team is the Tulane Green Wave. They are going to cover 4.5 points. Jake Retzlaff will eventually be the starting quarterback of this team as the season goes on, and they will only continue to get better. Tulane right now, again, to me, is the favorite, I believe, to get out the Group of 5. There is a team that plays in San Jose, California that could make a run for that, but the team that plays in San Jose, California, even though they're great skill-wise, they got to go to Texas week 2, and they probably won't win that game. A win over just Stanford probably won't get San Jose State in the playoffs at 11-1. Instead, the 12-0, I think potentially Tulane Green Wave get in. Are they going to beat Ole Miss, though? I don't know. We'll get to that later. I'm taking Tulane, though, to win and cover at home against the Big Ten's Northwestern, -4.5. On now to our 5th best bet of the video. Let's go to our first player prop of the day. I did pick Louisiana State to beat Clemson. I did. What I like even more, though, at this game is Garrett Nussmeier over 290.5 yards. So he asked it 291 yards here. Okay. I know we're skipping a lot of time here, I believe. Yeah, we have no best bets in the middle of the day just because there's really nothing to play in the middle of the day. Like, I'll be locked in watching Indiana play Old Dominion, but I'm not going to be betting on that football game. Even though I think Indiana's going to cover 23.5, no reason to bet on that. So we're going to jump all the way to the 4 o'clock time slot, and we have a lot of bets towards the end of the night. But at 4 o'clock, we've got Louisiana State versus Clemson, one of the biggest games of the week on ABC. Okay. I believe Louisiana State's going to go on the road and win. I don't think Clemson is as good as people think they are. I know they have high expectations. I know they have national championship, obviously, aspirations. I'm not sold on the Tigers or the Clemson Tigers as other people. I believe Garrett Nussmeier is one of the best pocket passers in college football, if not the best pocket passer in college football. He's up there, okay? Garrett Nussmeier, after a full 2024, is back as the starting quarterback. He is only going to continue to evolve as a starter in college football. Regardless on whether or not Louisiana State is winning or losing this football game, Garrett Nussmeier is going to be throwing all day long because that's just what they do. I get it. They lose their receiving core. Some of the receiving core. I understand that. It doesn't matter when you play the style of offense. Louisiana State, obviously, historically has always been a high passing attack team, at least over the last 10 years they 100% have been. Obviously, you know the big names. Joe Burrow and company, obviously. Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase. I get that. But Garrett Nussmeier, they would launch the ball at him last year. On average, guys, Garrett Nussmeier threw the ball 45 times a game. I mean, that's solid enough. More times than not, Garrett Nussmeier's throwing for over 300 yards last season. That's the type of night we need today. Again, I don't know. I think they win. I legitimately think they do. But on both sides of the coin here, if Louisiana State beats Clemson or if they lose to Clemson, okay, if they're going to win this game, it's going to be because of the big plays Garrett Nussmeier makes. They're not, I don't think their run game's horrible, but they're not winning the game because of their run game, okay? They might break off some runs from here and there. If Louisiana State's going into Death Valley and winning, it's because of the pass play. It's because of how well Garrett Nussmeier is doing, okay? That's for damn sure. If they're losing the game, they're going to be trailing. They're going to need Garrett Nussmeier to throw and get them back in the game. It's a win-win for us here. And yes, is 291 passing yards a lot to expect out of a college football quarterback? It is, but not this college football starting quarterback. Again, you wanted me to detail my top 10 quarterbacks in college football. Garrett Nussmeier is in the top 10. He goes with Kevin Jennings. He goes with Arch Manning. He goes with, we'll get to some guys later, Carson Beck, right? These are the top guys in the sport, right? I would maybe even think about putting Malik Murphy in there this season. I don't know. I haven't actually mapped out my top 10. I'm just giving you the guys who I am the highest on. Obviously, Devin Dampier. We'll get to him later, right? Garrett Nussmeier's in the top 10. He is a top 10 quarterback in the sport. Drew Aller, obviously, being there too. Julian Sands not, though, right? Garrett Nussmeier is going to prove this weekend why he's a top quarterback in the sport. Also, again, look at what Clemson did. Look what Clemson has done over the last couple of seasons early in the year. They haven't really showed up. Last year, they lose 34-3 against Georgia. 2 years ago, they go to, I wanted to say Cameron Indoor Stadium. Definitely not. They go to, oh my goodness, Durham. Thank you. Durham, Duke. Durham, North Carolina play Duke. And they lose 28-7. Cade Klubnik is 0-2 as a starting quarterback on opening day. I think Duke game, I think it was a Monday night, oddly enough. And again, that's not even me saying, oh, LSU's going to win. I think they're going to. But I believe, again, Louisiana State's going to be put in a really good position to win. They're going to score a lot of points like Duke did. And like Riley Leonard had a big game 2 years ago against Clemson. And just like how Carson Beck had a more than decent game last year against Clemson. Louisiana State's going to have a more than decent game tonight or on Saturday night. And Garrett Nussmeier is going to be a big reason to that. I'm taking the Louisiana State Tigers and Garrett Nussmeier to win. But obviously the best bet is Garrett Nussmeier over 290.5 passing yards. 291 for the pocket passing, strong-armed righty Garrett Nussmeier. He is going to go over the line. And Louisiana State's going to win the football game. 291 passing yards for Garrett Nussmeier in this big game for Louisiana State. Okay, on to our sixth best bet of the video. Let's go to another money line. We are trying it yet again. Last week we had Fresno State. We bought a point last week in Lawrence, Kansas. I believe they're in Lawrence. I think yes. Against the Jayhawks. Okay. Fresno State did not come through for us last week against Kansas. That's okay. Why is Fresno State an underdog against Georgia Southern? Why? I don't understand that. I don't understand that one. I get it. Oh, they lost last week. That sucks. Yeah, sure. They're not losing at home to Georgia Southern. They're not. Okay. J.C. French, good quarterback. Really good quarterback for Georgia Southern. I'm fully aware. I know who J.C. French is. I don't think it's good enough to beat Fresno. I don't think so. Fresno's roster is still not that bad, man. It's really not. They're not a horrible roster. They just ran into Kansas, who, okay, is going to be a really good team in the Big 12 this year. Okay, I'll say that. Fresno State's first drive against Kansas was great. And then just all fell apart, right? They've got running backs. They do. You got Bryson Donaldson, and you've got Elijah Gillum. Gillum got benched because he couldn't beat out Donaldson in the offseason. But you've got two really efficient running backs. Receiving core, it's not great. And E.J. Warner does leave some to be desired at times. I understand that. Still, though, he has been called one of the smartest quarterbacks in college football. He knows the field. He can read the field. It's just, does he put it all together? I don't know. But You have a guy like EJ Warner at the helm, and you still have a very talent-heavy Fresno State roster. It's filled with talent, and it's with a lot of good college football players. The defense did not show out last week, I understand. Jalen Daniels goes 18 for 20 throwing the football, and they could not stop the run at all at the Jayhawks. They could barely get stops at all the entire game. The fourth quarter, sure, but it was already over by then. Kansas was just running out the football. So I believe this week's going to be different, and I get it. You got to deal with J.C. French, and J.C. French is difficult to handle. He is. J.C. French is a more than productive college quarterback. You may know him for his big game last year in week 1 at home against Boise State, where he threw for 300-something yards. Obviously, they lost that shootout to Ashton Genty and the Broncos, but J.C. French is a quarterback that's going to put up big numbers every single week. I completely understand that. I just don't think we're doing Fresno justice with this line. And sure, he gets back one of his better receivers. Josh Dallas is back, if I'm not mistaken. I think he was his number 2 receiver last year, but Dallas had multiple games where he went for 90-plus passing or receiving yards, excuse me. So he gets him back. I believe Dallas is a junior now. Just Fresno's at home. I don't think they should be dogs here. I don't think so. I know we're down at Fresno because of week 1. I understand that. They're going to be much better here in week 1. Guys, for as bad as they looked, and I get it, it was a bad week, you still went on the road to play a Big 12 squad. Guys, don't forget what happened when Colorado, a team that's filled with talent, that had Shedeur Sanders, had Travis Hunter, top 25 team in the country last year, went into Kansas, and what happened? They got blown out. Same thing what happened at Fresno happened to Colorado. Colorado cannot get anything going offensively. It was few and far in between. Jalen Daniels and Devin Neal ran right through the Buffs. Now, it wasn't Devin Neal this year, but Kansas ran right through the Fresno State Bulldogs. That's okay. Just because you lose to Kansas doesn't mean you lose to Georgia Southern on your own home turf. Georgia Southern was an 8-4 team last year. Their losses, I mean, they went on the road last year and got blown out at ODU. I mean, it's just, I think Fresno easily takes care of them. I don't think this game should be that tight on the odds. I believe, again, we are going to see this entire offensive attack for Fresno really get to open up. And that is, again, some of EJ Warner. That is what Bryson Donaldson, who got stuffed last game. 11 carries, 30 yards. It's not going to cut it. Elijah Gillum only got 2 carries for 3 yards. One was a touchdown. The only touchdown of the game for Fresno, a 1-yard punch-in, right? I believe it has to be better this week. They're not dealing with that Kansas defense. They're not dealing with an explosive offensive attack. On the flip side of things from the Jayhawks, and sure, again, I will give J.C. French credit. I will give Georgia Southern credit. They can score. They can score in bunches, obviously, like we saw last year on opening day against Boise State. I just don't think it's going to be enough, and I don't think, again, I just don't think they're going to get out and running enough. I don't believe so. I don't think they're going to make this game a shootout. You got to go on the road to Fresno, which is, by the way, the best college football environment in the state of California. It's not even close. USC's right there. The best college football environment in the state is Fresno. Because what else do you have to do in Fresno? Exactly, right? I'm taking the Fresno State Bulldogs here to win this game at home against the Georgia Southern Eagles. I think plus 100. Getting Fresno State at this plus money price is highway robbery. They're not losing back-to-back games, and they're not losing to Georgia Southern. They're not losing at home, and this roster is too good enough to lose back, or they're too good to lose back-to-back games, okay? Especially to the Sunbelt's Georgia Southern. I get it, Georgia Southern's a decent squad. I like Fresno more. Fresno State plus 100. They will win this game at home against the Georgia Southern Eagles. Okay, on to best bet number 7. Let's go to another money line. We've got another player prop coming up in a second. Got to go to this one first. Oregon State at home in Corvallis. Oregon will beat the California Golden Bears. I like Oregon State this year. I like them a lot. I love the fact they got Malik Murphy. I just do. I think he's really good. I'll just say that. I believe Malik Murphy is a really good quarterback in college football. They opened the week at -3. They're now at -1.5, which means we can play money line now. Open the week at like -140-ish, -120-ish. It's more than playable. Sign me up with Oregon State. At home, in Corvallis, they're not losing a cow. Okay? They're not losing a cow, who, by the way, lost their starting quarterback, obviously, to the Hoosiers over in Bloomington, Indiana. Okay. This is a really good pick for me. I think it is. It's same type of deal with Fresno, right? Like an even game. I'm going to take the home team. Teams are right there. Georgia Southern and Fresno to me, neck and neck. They're right there with me. They're right there, skill-wise. Cal, Oregon State, I believe Oregon State's better than Cal. I think they are. This season, I believe Oregon's improved. They put a lot of money into the portal and into their NIL spendings, and obviously they landed one of the best quarterbacks they could possibly land in the portal in Malik Murphy. I cannot speak enough about how good Malik Murphy is. I said earlier, I consider putting Malik Murphy in the top 10 quarterbacks in college football. I don't know if he's there yet, but legitimately, Malik Murphy has the potential to make that step this season. Now, we talked about it earlier in the week. There were some potential character issues with Malik Murphy. He had that classic moment last year where he threw for a touchdown early in the game, looked up at the skybox, and flipped off his coaches. I thought it was, he's flipping off the defensive coordinator through their team. No, apparently he was flipping off his own coaches. Something went wrong during the week, I guess, and Malik Murphy proved them wrong. So it felt like an obvious transfer, obviously, from Malik Murphy out of Duke and out of Oregon State. Obviously, Duke's now starting Darian Mensah, who was starting quarterback at Tulane last year. Just a move that makes sense for a lot of people as well. Darian Mensah is really good. Out of St. Louis Obispo, California, right? Malik Murphy, though, is a really good quarterback. He's a junior coming into Oregon State. Is Oregon State kind of directionalist this season just because, obviously, they're playing in the Pac-2? Kind of. But you're setting up for a potential, I believe, Pac-12 championship in 2026. I don't know if that's going to be the case, but they're going to be competing for it, obviously, right? There's going to be good teams fighting for that next season. Boise, Fresno, Sacramento State, assuming they're in the Pac-12 next year, Pac-10 probably. There's going to be some good teams, right? We'll see what Rashada is going to be looking like this year over for Sac State. They've got some weird teams. Hey, they got Mikey Williams playing for them in basketball with Shaq's son. And they got some Sac State, man. The NIL bread's going crazy over there in California state capital. But you know who spent too? It's Oregon State. Oregon State spent a lot of money, and I said it during the week. I loved what they got to keep on this roster. Guys, Anthony Hankerson decided to stay. I didn't think that was going to happen. They kept their two best playmakers on the ground and through the air last year. You keep Anthony Hankerson, who had 1,100 rushing yards, and you keep Trent Walker, your senior receiver from Oregon, who had 900 receiving yards last season, only 2 touchdowns. That will change in 2025. I mean, I absolutely love it. They return their 2 best playmakers, and now you enter a very effective starting quarterback who's 6'5", and just a very great athlete in Malik Murphy, and a guy who can, he can escape the pocket, kind of. He's a great, strong arm. He's a very good passer of the football. I love the move. I absolutely love the move. Now, Cal. I don't want to say that they got that much worse, because they didn't. Like, the all-around roster, beyond Fernando Mendoza, okay? The all-around roster isn't, it's not that much worse. It's really not, right? Javion Thomas and Jaden Knott are both gone, though. Jaden Knott's at Oklahoma, and obviously Jaden Knott didn't have a good year last year. Javion Thomas is at UCLA. You lose your top 2 running backs, and now, obviously, you enter in Devin Brown at quarterback. He's not starting, though. It's not Devin Brown. You enter in Devin Brown, though, from Ohio State, but who ends up winning the starting job? I can't say his name. Jiron Kewe Sagapolute. Probably butchered that. Maybe I was right. But he is now the starting quarterback of California, former 5-star commit for USC or Oregon. USC, I believe, right? Oregon. Former Oregon 5-star commit. Was supposed to go to Oregon. Cal needed a starting quarterback. Okay. It's the former 5-star from Hawaii, right? CJ Harris doesn't win the job, who's former Ohio quarterback. Devin Brown, who was expected to win the job, doesn't get it. So they're going to go with the true freshman. So Cal joins Michigan with starting a true freshman. If I'm not mistaken, he was like the 7th or 8th quarterback, maybe the 6th quarterback in the class. All right, I just don't love starting true freshman week 1, especially on the road. Hostile environment. Corvallis isn't a tough place to play. It can be. It can be. I don't know the levels of excitement for the Beavs this week just because, they're in the Pac-2. But you're playing for a Pac-12 rival in Cal, kind of. I don't know if they really hate each other that much, but you're playing a former Pac-12 squad. You're at home. You bring back Hankerson. You bring back Trent Walker. And you improve the quarterback position. Because last year, it was really difficult for that team offensively. Because of just, that quarterback room. Ben Gulbranson, we saw last week at Hawaii, is horrible. Okay, there's a reason he retired, and they had to lure him out of retirement. Giovanni McCoy was all right. He couldn't hang on to the football, though. There's a reason he's at Temple now. And Jabari Johnson is still in the system. Expect him to start probably and be the heir apparent, I would assume, after Malik Murphy leaves. I don't know, in 2 years, maybe. I assume they'll just dip back into the portal after. Obviously, Oregon State, they got stripped down. Not you know what I mean. They got stripped down in talent. Obviously, you lose all you guys when Jonathan Smith goes to Michigan State, right? You lose Aiden Childs. You lose all of that depth you got with that squad because they all go to Michigan State. They've rebuilt it kind of, and obviously we knew it was going to be a 2-year rebuild. When the Pac-12 restarts, Oregon State needs to be back in that position. And I think, again, I'm so high on the fact that they got to bring back Anthony Hankerson. You bring back Trent Walker, and you get Malik Murphy now too. That's a dangerous trio. And now you don't have Giovanni McCoy at quarterback who couldn't put the ball in the end zone, couldn't really score when it mattered, couldn't hang on to the football. Ben Gulbranson's not your starting quarterback anymore. And California is not the same team. You lose your playmakers on Cal. You lose your top 10 quarterback in college football, Fernando Mendoza. You're worse. You're starting a true freshman on the road against Oregon State in Corvallis all day long. Give me the Beavs to go out there and beat California. I'm going minus 120 for the Oregon State Beavers at home in Corvallis. They will definitely, and I mean definitely, win this football game. Next up, our eighth best bet. I believe it's eighth. I think so. Devin Dampier. Potentially the best quarterback in college football. There's a lot, and I say that about a lot of guys. I say that about Carson Beck. I say that about Devin Dampier. I say that about Arch Manning at times. I get it. There's a lot of really good quarterbacks in college football. I haven't even talked about, DJ Lagway, who has potential to be great, Cade Klubnik, Lenore Sellers, who legitimately might be the best quarterback in college football. It's a discussion up for debate. That's why I always say, I say about a bunch of guys, they could be the best quarterback in college football because there's so many. Carson Beck, right? I don't know if I just mentioned him or not. A lot of great quarterbacks in college football. Drew Aller, obviously. Marcel Reed, maybe. I don't know. Potentially. Could be. I don't know. Definitely not Nico. Devin Dampier is that guy, though. And I did bring up Nico because they're playing UCLA. I think Utah dominates Los Angeles, UCLA. I think they do. What I like more, though, and this is, we're kind of diving into this parlay here, but hear me out. I think it's a great play. I think it's a safe play. Because you can go, Devin Dampier over, I think his line's like 240-ish passing yards. You can do that, and you can get minus 125. You can go over rushing yards, which is like 65.5. Or instead, you can go two-leg parlay on Devin Dampier just to get 175 passing yards, so over 174.5 passing yards, and over 39.5 rushing yards, minus 125 two-leg parlay. This is money. This is money for a guy who might win the Heisman Trophy this season. I've watched Devin Dampier at New Mexico. He's nasty. Utah last season couldn't figure it out because they didn't have a quarterback. Cam Rising goes down. In comes Isaac Wilson. He'll be good in a couple years. They didn't have a guy. Isaac Wilson was 18 years old trying to play college football last season. I respect it. He'll be a good quarterback. He's not as good as his brother is. He'll be good eventually. Maybe he goes to Utah State next year with Bryson Barnes being a senior this year. I don't know. I think that's there for Isaac Wilson next year. Devin Dampier is only a junior. Utah's going to be so much better. That offensive line, nasty. You bring in New Mexico personnel, obviously. Devin Dampier, we just need to limit the interceptions. But I think he'll be fine because Devin Dampier had to play hero ball so much last year because New Mexico sucked, all right? I was so impressed with the guy last year. Watch him play Arizona on the road. They lose the game 61-39, but there's a reason New Mexico scores 39 points in Tucson. There's a reason they do that, right? Watch the game that they played against Utah State. 105 rushing yards, 272 passing yards. They scored 50 points. Guys, New Mexico last year had a run of 3 straight games where they won and scored 50 points in all 3. They couldn't play defense, but I'll get to that in a second. They go to New Mexico. They go to Las Cruces. They win 50-40 against New Mexico State. They go play Air Force. They win 52-37. Devin Dampier threw 19 passes in that game. And that offense still scored 52 points. They had an interception return for a touchdown, I believe, and a kickoff return, but still, neither here or there. They go to Utah State. They win 50-45. Devin Dampier does nothing but score. Deep shots downfield, rushing attack, he does it all. Devin Dampier, guys, in the last 4 games of the year last year, ran for 100 yards in all 4. One of the games he ran for 207 and a 49-45 loss against Wyoming. It was a game where it was like, what else do you want the guy to do? He had an 85-yard touchdown in the Wyoming game, and they still lost. Here's the thing, guys. And again, I'm not even going to sell you on Utah money line here because Utah is going to win the Big 12 this season. Utah is going to be in a position to potentially go very far in the playoffs this year because of their quarterback situation, because of how good that defense is and how good the offensive line is, okay? They were such a good team last year defensively. Their O-line was great, but O-line wasn't great. I will be honest. Their O-line wasn't amazing. It's better this year, though. Couldn't do anything offensively. The defense was great. It's a match made. It's just a perfect match. It is. Devin Dampier goes from a situation where his team couldn't play defense. His team could not get off the field defensively, right? A team that, he would have to put up 50 points to win games, to a team that their defense was great. They just couldn't score. It is the perfect match, and I'm so glad Devin Dampier's in Utah. I just am. So happy about it. And we said it earlier in the week, it sucks New Mexico loses its 2 stars. Devin Dampier to Utah, Donovan Dent to Los Angeles, to UCLA. It sucks. But I'm taking Devin Dampier and the Utes here. Devin Dampier, guys, over 174 passing yards and over 39 rushing yards is a lock. Because Devin Dampier, guys, did this in all but 1 game last year. All but 2 games last year, excuse me. He did this. The only 2 games where Devin Dampier did not go over this line was against Montana State in week number 1, which was kind of a brutal game, not going to lie. They were up early and they ended up losing. And against Wyoming in that game where they did score 45 points. It's just, they didn't throw the ball that much. Devin Dampier had over 200 rushing yards, okay? We are locked in here, guys. We are so locked in. Utah is one of the best teams in the country, and Devin Dampier will be a top 5 quarterback in college football this year, and he will be a Heisman finalist. I firmly believe that, if not next year. The guy's that good. He's one of the best quarterbacks in the game. I'm going Utah and Devin Dampier, especially Devin Dampier here again. Over 174 passing yards and over 39 rushing yards. Parlay that thing. It gets you minus 125 for Devin Dampier. Okay, on now to our 9th best bet of the video. The U. It's all about the U. Okay. Taking Miami. I'm taking Miami. I've been pretty adamant from the exact day that Carson Beck transferred to the University of Miami that he was going to go here and be the best quarterback in college football. Time to put my money where my mouth's at. Got him. Miami's beating Notre Dame. Okay. Miami will beat Notre Dame on Sunday. Games in Miami. Difficult place to play. CJ Carr's your starting quarterback in his first ever start as a freshman. I don't know why Miami's an underdog here. I want to say Cohen Carr. That's the Michigan State forward. CJ Carr's first ever start is in a big spot on prime time against Miami. I get it. Their defense isn't very good. We saw that time in and time out last year. The reason they didn't go to the ACC championship game, the reason that they didn't go to the playoffs, was because they couldn't beat Kyle McCord and Syracuse in the last week of the year, which, by the way, who had Syracuse money line as plus 14.5 point dogs in the last week of the season? That was me. Saw it from a mile away. At the JRA Wireless Dome, the way Kyle McCord throws that football, the way Syracuse plays, they're going and beating Miami. I got that one right, by the way. Thank you. Last year, we were all I was not into Miami at all. All in this year. All in on Miami. Guys, Miami makes quarterback situations. They make quarterbacks look amazing. Cameron Ward's my main example. Do I think Carson Beck's Cam Ward? I don't know. I think he's going to have a better year than Cam Ward. I believe it. I think this guy's winning the Heisman. I believe Miami's going to the playoffs. Will they win? I don't know. The one thing that's going to hold this team back is going to be the defense. They got to contain Jeremiah Love. Gotta contain him. One of the best running back in college football, if not the best running back in college football this season, is Jeremiah Love. Look at the damage he did last year in the Orange Bowl in Miami against Penn State. Look at the damage he did all year long, right? Look at the damage he did in week 1 last year at Kyle Field against Texas A&M. He's an elite running back in college football. He is. He's a difficult guy to contain. If you could stop Jeremiah Love, and at least, again, if Miami does anything this week defensively, contain the run. If you're going to lose this game, make CJ Carr beat you. Make him beat you. He's not Sam Hartman. He's not Riley Leonard. He is a freshman going into his first ever start at Notre Dame. Again, you know that pressure it is being the starting quarterback of the Fighting Irish. And you're going to Miami. Not an easy place to play. At the Hard Rock. I don't like it. I don't like it at all. For Notre Dame. I'm taking Miami. 10th best team in the country rankings-wise. Again, preseason rankings don't matter, right? Notre Dame's ranked, 6th? Yeah, Miami's 10. Again, that doesn't matter. Sure. I'm telling you, though, Carson Beck is going to be the best quarterback in college football this year. I firmly believe it. He's in a system where he will win. And he will be effective, and he will be efficient. There's a reason, guys, Carson Beck is the highest paid collegiate athlete this year in 2025. The reason. I believe he is. I know he's getting at least $8 million. I think it's more. There's a reason they put all that money into Carson Beck. Because you see the talent. Saw the talent in high school when he was playing in Georgia. Won the state championship in Georgia. The talent, I believe it was Georgia. Was it Florida? I think it was Georgia. The talent's always been there for Carson Beck. And he's in an offense now where he will be successful. They will let him air it out. It's Miami football. Look how much success Cam Ward had last year with this team. Who's to say Carson Beck won't have that same success? Again, believe me when I say it, he's an elite quarterback in college football, if not the best quarterback in college football. Look at the weapons he has. I understand you lose some. You lose Xavier Restrepo to the NFL. He just got cut by the Tennessee Titans. I don't know if he's back on the practice squad regardless. I think he is. You lose Restrepo to the Titans. I get that, right? You lose some of your weapons. You lose Jacoby George to the NFL as well. I don't think he's on a team, right? You lose some guys. You lose Colby Young, who had some moments of, had a big game against Clemson last year. He's at Georgia. I get it. You know how much depth Miami has in that quarterback room? They've got a lot of it. They've got more than enough. That was actually 2 years ago, I believe, right? With Colby Young, that was 2 years ago. But still, you get what I mean. You lose a lot of guys. Colby Young was at Georgia last year. That's my apology. My mistake. But still, you lose Restrepo, you lose Jacoby George. Yeah, those are big time players for you, right? I think we're gonna be okay. I think we are. I firmly believe in Carson Beck, and Elijah Arroyo's gone too. That's fine. How much depth Miami has, guys? Miami's recruiting and in the portal too, nothing but skills, because they have infinite money. There's a reason they were able to spend that much money on Carson Beck. They will be successful. Believe you me, Carson Beck, I don't know if he's going to have the Cam Ward success. I think he's going to, though. Give me the Miami Hurricanes to win at home. I don't know. Again, they're at home, too. I don't get it. CJ Carr's a freshman. I don't know how they go into Miami and win. It's the defense that scares me. Best defense is more offense. Miami's going to score every single time they touch the ball. I know Notre Dame's offense is great. Xavier Watts is gone. Leader of that defense last year. You lose pieces for Notre Dame. I'm taking the Hurricanes. I know I spent a lot of time on this, but again, I've been very adamant on this for a while. Miami plus 115 on the money line. This is their start of their run to the ACC championship and probably a postseason berth. Well, they win the ACC, they're going to the playoffs. Yeah. Give me Miami. Miami plus 115. Okay. Our final best bet of the video, let's go to the Monday night game. We're going to skip the other Sunday game, VTech, South Carolina. Just not a game I really care about. I don't know. I'm going to watch Lenora Sellers. I just don't have the best bet for that. I think that game is going to really prove, how good Lenora Sellers is. I think South Carolina should probably have their way on VTech. I'd be surprised if they didn't. I think that line's dropped a little bit too. It has by 1.5 points. But anyways, final best bet of the video. It is the first game in the month of September. September football is here. Texas Christian versus North Carolina. Taking North Carolina. Taking North Carolina plus 3.5. I've kind of gone back and forth enough. I think they're going to actually win or not. I think they're going to. I don't know. I just think if you give this team 3 points, I really like it. I do. Is TCU the better roster? Probably. They have the better starting quarterback? Oh, 100%. Josh Hoover is better than Gio Lopez, who's starting for North Carolina, definitely. I think the Tar Heels keep it close, though. I think they do. Right? I mean, I know the whole, NFL quarterbacks, they go to the collegiate level and they don't see all that much success. That's fair. Again, look at Frank Reich, right? The last week, we just had week 0, obviously. Stanford goes to Hawaii. They lose a competitive game. That's fine. This game's at Chapel Hill. And this is a Frank Reich we're talking about. It's Bill Belichick. Now, who's responsible for the 6 Super Bowls? It's Tom Brady, 95%. I don't care what anybody says. Tom Brady's responsible for the Super Bowls. I get that. Belichick does kind of know what he's doing, though, right? It's weird. Everything that's been said about Belichick for the most part, that he's a different guy out there. He's just running things a little bit differently at UNC. I don't know. Is he phoning it in? Is he collecting a paycheck? Is he there to get his 24-year-old girl into the master's program? Is he there to get his son the head coaching role in 2 seasons? Probably that's all yes. Okay, has there been really weird stuff that's gone on this offseason with the 60 Minutes interview at CBS, and then go CBS, the interview where, she seemed like she was his handler, like Joe Biden had handlers, that type of deal. Was that weird? Was it weird that just yesterday they trademarked the term gold digger to make merchandise? Is that weird? Oh, it is. The whole reality show that got canceled because she didn't like it. Is that weird? Oh, it is. There's been a lot of weird stuff with North Carolina football and Bill Belichick this offseason. Do not get me wrong. But if Bill Belichick still knows how to do anything in his day-to-day life, it's football, okay? You gotta think, and I'm so serious, guys, if you can bank on North Carolina to at least play competitively in one game all year long, it's this one. They have to go to Charlotte next week. Are we serious? Or is that at the Panthers? It's gotta be the Panthers Stadium. No, they go to Charlotte next week. That's weird. But if you can bank on North Carolina to do anything, and on a short week too, that's weird. It's playing competitively here in week 1. Monday Night Football on ESPN. We go to NFL next week on Monday Night Football. Instead this week, no. We got Bill Belichick on Monday Night Football at Chapel Hill in North Carolina. I'm taking the Tar Heels here. To win, beginning of the week I was going North Carolina to win. We don't need to play them to win anymore. We're taking plus 3.5. I don't care. The final result for me doesn't matter. It doesn't. North Carolina can lose by 3 points, and I don't care. I don't care. I'm not going to go, give me plus 145 on North Carolina money line when we can take the plus 3.5. No, it doesn't make sense. Why would I? Why would I do that? Instead, I'm going to take the spread. And I believe North Carolina covers. Am I sold on Gio Lopez? No, I'm not. But I think, again, Belichick's entire thing's always been defense. Josh Hoover, he's a guy who's going to air it out. Hoover's looking for big yards. He does lose his number 1 receiver, obviously, to the Las Vegas Raiders and Jack Beck. I get that. I think they got to contain Hoover somewhat. And look at the game. The comp I'll make was last year, week 1, when TCU went to Palo Alto to play Stanford on Friday night. They win by 7, but Stanford's riding that game, and Stanford kind of blew it at the end, too. Josh Hoover had a great game, don't get me wrong, and Jack Beck had 140 receiving yards. But I think, again, you look at what North Carolina is this year compared to what Stanford was last year. North Carolina is obviously the better football team. And Bill Belichick is a much better coach, obviously, than what the hell Stanford had last year, the Sac State dude who got fired for reasons. Yeah, I'm taking UNC here, okay? Again, if I can rely on Bill Belichick to do anything right at this point of his day-to-day life, it's football. It is. It's football. We got to keep this story running for a little bit. We need something to go with here for North Carolina. Gio Lopez, the former South Alabama quarterback, we just need you to figure it out this week, all right? Just need you to figure it out. I believe Max Johnson's still injured. I'm fairly confident Max Johnson's still injured. Him and Gio Lopez is a sophomore, so they got him around for a while. Obviously, Max Johnson broke his leg last year, week 1 in Minneapolis against Minnesota. Will he start by the end of the year? Maybe. I don't know. He's like 26. He's older than Bill Belichick's girlfriend. Crazy. And he's still in college. I guess it's crazy. But Gio Lopez wasn't bad at South Alabama. It was just, I don't know. It's a big step up playing in the ACC. Last year, 2,600 yards, 18 touchdowns, 5 picks. Not a horrible collegiate quarterback last year. Just needs to put it all together in his sophomore season at UNC. It's going to be a task, but I think they're able to stay competitive with TCU and Texas Christian. I think they're able to keep a close game against Texas Christian. And I'm going North Carolina spread in Chapel Hill on Monday Night Football on ESPN, plus 3.5 against the Texas Christian Horned Frogs. So, folks, Thank y'all for watching our college football week 1 best bets here on the channel. If you have not yet, though, make sure to hit that subscribe button down below for more. Make sure to leave a like if you did enjoy the video. Make sure to comment if you did disagree with any of the picks. We'll be back for week 2 predictions probably Monday night. I'll probably do it Monday night. I don't know. There's the North Carolina game Monday night. I don't know. We'll see. Monday night or Tuesday morning, we'll have our week 1 full predictions out. Week 2 full predictions, and then best bets again for week 2 will probably be on either Thursday or Friday of next week. Obviously, we have the NFL coming up as well. So, folks, thank y'all for watching. Make sure to hit that subscribe button down below for more. Make sure to leave a like if you did enjoy the video. Make sure to comment if you disagree with any of the picks. We'll be back again. MLB Best Bets daily on the channel as well. Folks, thank y'all for watching. And Mamba forever.